love home might be something private that you write just for that special someone. But our next guest put hers in a book and it's gone global after a major rock band recommended it. Let's welcome Sydney poet Courtney Peppernell.
Hey!
Courtney, fantastic to have you with us. So, your poetry was discovered by the band The Chainsmokers, who are huge at the moment. When they put your book on social media, is that what happened?
Yeah, so Pillow Thoughts began because I went to the supermarket with my girlfriend and she was looking for ice cream and I was looking for a card for our anniversary. And Rian found the ice cream, but I couldn't find a card that really said what I wanted to say. So I ended up going back to the car and I wrote this poem just on my phone called Looking for Ice Cream. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought maybe I could make a book. And I wasn't going to put that poem in the book, but I did last minute, which is why it's on the back page. And then I woke up the next morning and the Chainsmokers had tweeted out all over their social media. I had people all over Instagram asking, you know, what poem is this book from? And then, you know, 2 months later, a major US publisher is knocking at my door saying, you know, we want the rights to this book. So it just exploded, it went viral and...
If it was the plot of a movie, you wouldn't actually believe it, would it? I mean, this is the stuff that writers dream about. This is what the Chainsmokers had to say about your book. I think we're going to pop it up here. As songwriters, poetry has always played a special role in our lives. We discovered Pillow Thoughts and it has been one of the most enjoyable books we have read in a long time. I mean, that's a very considered statement from a rock band.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, what an endorsement. Are you have you spoken to them directly? Do you talk to them? Are you friends now? Are you going to work with them?
Hopefully. I mean, in the future. I mean, Alex and Drew, they invited me to come see their concert when they're in Sydney. So the fact that they've loved the book so much, you know, it opened up an opportunity, which is it's just been amazing, really,
wow.
Especially with the publisher coming on board. And now, you know, in the US, the book is in the top 10 in a book chain called Barnes & Noble.
Yes, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, and so
wow.
that was amazing. And, you know, there's over 100,000 copies in print now over, you know, in the States. And if you think about it, that's... If every person in the MCG had a copy of Pillow Thoughts...
Yeah, trust me, I've written a book myself. I've thought about it. Whoa.
The ice cream poem led to you writing the book of love poems, did it?
Yes. I was looking for a card and I couldn't find something that I wanted to talk about.
So having done that successfully, you then thought, I'll do a whole book.
Yes. I'll do a whole book and hopefully, you know, people who read it can relate to it. And I think that's what I like about Pillow Thoughts, because it, you know, it doesn't matter who someone is. You know, a lot of people write to me and they say how much they relate to the writing in it. I've had, you know, people say they've used some of the poetry in their wedding vows. One of my favourite stories is a lady from the US. She wrote me an email and she said her husband goes on a lot of business trips, so each night she would call him and read something from Pillow Thoughts and it made them feel closer. So it's just stuff like that, you know, that's why I write.
Wow. So were you always a poet, or were you doing... did you have another string to your bow?
Yeah, I've been a writer since... I've loved writing since I was younger, writing, you know, novels and things like that, and I just got into poetry. I sort of fell into it. I didn't realise that poetry was, you know, coming back again, and there's such a big market for it now, so...
it's selling that. I mean, poetry is the fastest way to poverty. I mean, it's incredible that you're...
It's wrong that you're being successful.
Right. You don't do it for the money.
A famous person once said poetry is so important you're not allowed to make a living out of it.
That's right. That's exactly
but this is an amazing... How much of it is performance and how much is the words? I mean, do you perform in groups as well? Because I'd love to hear you read something.
Yeah, I do readings. Performance poetry is a little bit different. I prefer to write it out and have it in a book and have someone, you know, pick up Pillow Thoughts right before bed and it's Pillow Thoughts and have a read or read it to their loved ones.
If you had to pick it up before you went to bed, what would you read?
I would read the poem that I wrote for my girlfriend, which is the Looking for Ice Cream poem.
I'm sure we'd love to hear it.
Folks, do you want to hear it?
Yeah, you'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Okay. So we're in the grocery store. You wanted ice cream even though it was cold out. You couldn't decide which flavour, and I was teasing you about being so indecisive sometimes. I suggested we just buy every flavour in the store, and you laughed. It was the kind of laugh I could listen to for the rest of my life. You said I was silly, and you kissed me, pressed against me so I could feel how cold the tip of your nose was. You were only in sweats, hair so messy from being in bed all afternoon, And in that moment, I knew I loved you more than anyone else I'd ever loved. In that moment, I knew you were my once in a lifetime, and yet all we were doing was looking for ice cream.
Your partner must have been absolutely beside herself.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? I dedicated this book to Ryan, and so now every time we do something romantic, I'm always trying to one-up myself because she has a book, so...
You peaked too early.
Yeah.
You peaked too early.
As Robin Williams said in Dead Poets, it's the purpose of poetry to woo women.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Now, you're off to the US soon for a major book tour. Can you believe how well the world has embraced your work?
No, you know, everything's just happened really, really quickly, and so now I'm off on a big US book tour. A big bookstore in New York City called The Strand has asked me to come and do a signing and a reading, and a few other places in LA and San Francisco and Seattle. So I just can't believe it, but I'm excited because, you know, the readers are who I want to meet. You know, these are people getting behind me and supporting my work, so I just want to see them.
Of course, if you get Oprah as well. Oh, my God, your sales will be amazing.
I'll probably fall on the floor.
I mean, they're pretty good without Oprah, but imagine...
Yeah.
Courtney, where can people go to hear some poetry? Are there poetry clubs around the cities of Australia? Where can, you know...
I believe so. You know, it's popular in the States. So in Australia, it's just sort of starting to take off. But I know in bookstores in places like Newtown and things like that, they do a lot of readings of poetry and things like that. So hopefully one day I'll be able to...
Anywhere there's hipsters, there'll be poetry. Just follow the hipsters and you'll find it.
Well, maybe book clubs could increase the poetry readings and poetry discussion.
Yeah, I think, you know, with this kind of poetry, it's really opened up, you know, people who might not normally read poetry. They're getting into it, and I think that's a good thing. It's connecting people from everywhere to poetry as an art form.
Lovely.
Well, it's absolutely tremendous what you're doing. I wish you every
Thank you.
success,
Yeah,
Courtney.
we
Thank you
do.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.